So I'd like to ask a transitionary question to talk a little bit more about the transfer of value piece. And the question I've got is, what are the traps that you've seen business owners fall into once the deal has been struck, the letter of intent is signed, and they're going through the process of selling the business, right? What are some of the traps that owners find themselves in?
So after letter of intent, pre-closing, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah. Also a broad question. One thing we see is like if they haven't done the upfront work to really get ready for due diligence, oftentimes a buyer will come to us when they already or a seller will come to us when they already have a buyer, and we're helping them through that final phase. And so we weren't there to help them with the due diligence, the prep work, because if, a lot of the items that are asked for in due diligence can take time to put together, or you need to bring other people in, like your accountant and your tax planner, in order to get some of the answers that are being requested. If you haven't done that before engaging buyers, it prolongs the due diligence period and it makes for deal fatigue. If they find skeletons in the closet or in the company, that's something that you weren't aware of, and you didn't find it first, that can change the whole structure of the deal. Things happening where a pandemic happens and, you can still keep a deal on the tracks, but now the terms have completely changed. Like we had a deal last year, it was ready to get closed in March or April, and the terms were 80% cash on closing with an earnout based on some milestones, but it didn't have a cap. So if the company did really well, they were in for a great cash out. Pandemic hit, and the deal almost fell apart, but our advisors did really well to keep it together, and it ended up being 40% on closing and 60% within 7 years. But now there was a cap. So now it didn't matter how good the company did, they were only ever going to get a certain amount. And that cap, that was quite substantial. It's a big difference having a cap in place.
And that's a huge change to the deal, right? In terms of, and that's something the owner had to all of a sudden acknowledge and accept as part of what happened. Yeah. Right? Because I know in our case, we had an offer on the table for our company, and the due diligence took just about 9 months. And unfortunately, because of the fact the due diligence took 9 months, the price of oil fell and all the money decided to go elsewhere because nobody was wanting to invest in Alberta anymore. So those are things that people need to be aware of that can trip them up in terms of their deal.
So
exactly. Sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
Well, the sooner from the point of LOI to the final closing, you want that period to be as short as possible, because if you've provided someone exclusivity for a period to have due diligence so that you're not entertaining other buyers, but if that extends for any length of period, you've lost traction on the market with other buyers. And if this deal doesn't go through, then you're back to square one, and and things can really change in that period of time. So the smoother that process can go in due diligence, the better it is for a seller. There's a fantastic company here in Calgary called Kalos. They do transaction diligence. They're very skilled at creating the due diligence report, and I highly recommend them.